Anime is a phenomenon sweeping the West, and some people say that it's a negative influence on our nation's youth, others say that it's simply the work of the devil. Since the anime craze boomed here in the United States, we've seen numerous copycat crimes and other injuries related to the negative influence of anime. I'm Oliver Pepperoni, and you're watching Channel 72 News. This week we bring 4 instances which happened within the past week of people acting out some of the crazy things they see in these Chinese cartoons. First this week, I want to bring your attention to a shocking story where 5 young teenagers were influenced by the anime series FullMetal Alchemist. FullMetal Alchemist is a Chinese cartoon about a young boy using a fictitious form of alchemy to try and create a body for his robot friend. Because of the negative influence of this series, we saw that 5 teenagers broke into a local cemetery, dug up a body, and tried to bring it back to life with this alchemy that we see within the series. We're taking you live on location with 72 News reporter Roger Flopple. Tell us what happened, Roger. Thanks, Oliver. We're here in front of this cemetery that wishes to remain unnamed for this news broadcast where just a few days ago 5 teenagers broke into at night and excavated a body and began this ritual. Our producers told me to say that this was the work of an imitation of an anime series called FullMetal Alchemist, but the police officers and also investigators on the scene say that this was the work of a cult ritual, not the work of an anime series. And as a fan of the series myself, I have to say that it is ridiculous that people would... That is just another prime example of how anime is ruining the minds of our nation's youth. We've got to do something about this. Parents, we've got to ask ourselves what we're letting our kids watch nowadays. Moving on to another saddening and terrifying story about a woman who was mauled to death by bears because of anime. 36-year-old Lisa Toboggan was depressed for at least a year until she became obsessed with the anime series Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket is a Chinese cartoon about a young girl who goes around hugging animals and changing them into people. Because of this, and because Lisa wanted to meet new friends, instead of her going out and meeting people, imagine that, she goes to the forest and starts hugging wild animals until a bear ate her face off. We're taking you live on location with Teddy Toboggan, who is both her brother and also an eyewitness to this gruesome incident. Tell us more, Teddy. My older sister was always the oddball in our family, and she came down with this terrible depression maybe a year or so ago. We don't know what caused this, but all we know is that about a year after her depression started, she became obsessed with these cartoons, and we told her that she's too old for these sort of things, but then we decided that we should just let it be, because it was making her happy, and I wanted to keep an eye on her. So when she said that she was coming out to the woods out here, I wanted to go with her just to make sure she didn't kill herself. And that's when she started hugging all these animals. She started off hugging squirrels, and then the raccoons, and then a few deer out here too. I was like, whatever, I've got to hose her off before she gets back in my truck. But then she went down to the bears. I tried to tell her, it's a bad idea, don't hug them bears, but she went ahead and did it anyway. She was really upset by then. She was crying and everything. Apparently, she wanted them to turn into people, and that won't happen either. But then she went down to the bears and started hugging them, and one of them tore her face off and ate it, and that was the worst thing I ever seen, I tell you what, but it was sure one hell of a slobber knocker. What a tragic story. Here at Channel 72 News, our hearts go out to the Toboggan family. The next story that I'd like to bring your attention to is a young boy who accidentally drowned himself because of the Chinese cartoon series One Piece. One Piece is a cartoon series about an army of Marines who go to war with a crew of pirates who have magical abilities which ironically disable their ability to swim. 15-year-old Pog Bronson was obsessed with the cartoon series of One Piece and its pirates to the point where he pretended he was one around the clock until one day when he finally took a bath, he actually laid down in the water and was unable to move because he pretended that he had one of these magic abilities and was unable to move in water. Instead of simply sitting up and avoiding from drowning, he sadly drowned to death. Pog Bronson was a dumbass. This just in, we have live, tragic, breaking news. We're taking you on location with 72 News reporter Steve Nuggets. Steve Nuggets for Channel 72 News here on location, live in front of the parents' house of the 26-year-old boy who had recently become obsessed with the anime series Seki Ray. His parents told me in an interview that they wished to not be put on air, that their boy had never had any sexual experiences or any experiences with any sort of media which portrayed women in any sort of sexual nature. The most that he had seen was PG-13 movies, and that was pretty much it. They tried to raise him on Disney movies alone, and as soon as he saw Seki Ray, he became obsessed with these big titty bitches, and there were posters and everything all over his room covered with these busty women found in the Seki Ray cartoon series. What actually sparked today's events were his parents told me that he was having a very stressful day and was unable to cope with life until he broke out on a rampage, sexually assaulting everything that he could get his hands on, and he was actually found 1 hour ago in the middle of the city in a library, naked, covered in mayonnaise and duck feathers, screaming the word oppression over and over and over. Was this the fault of an anime series that he watched, or were the parents to blame for sheltering him so long? Back to you, Oliver. From text messaging to YOLO and swag, now to big titty bitches. What will these kids get into next? It's hard to keep up with them nowadays. I'm Oliver Pepperoni, and this is Channel 72 News. Good night, everyone.